If you look at the raw data for healthcare professionals in 2026, you'll see that female physicians make 78 cents for every dollar that male physicians make. Over a typical 30 to 40 year career, this translates to a staggering $2 to $3 million in lost lifetime earnings. Now, if you mention the gender pay gap anywhere online, the comment sections typically split into two very fiercely defensive stances. One side says it's blatant systemic discrimination. The other side argues that it's entirely a math problem derived by personal choices. Things like hours worked, specialty selection, and call burden. But what happens when we actually look at the data? What happens if we adjust for everything? Today, we're gonna look at the most up-to-date peer-reviewed research as well as a new compensation data sheet by Marit to really see what's going on. The truth, as it turns out, is actually more complicated, but also more interesting than I think that either side cares to admit. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. For those of you who are new here, my name is Shaun Anderson, and I'm now a third-year anesthesiology resident based in San Diego, California. I make weekly vlogs showing exactly what it's like to be a physician in training, so if that sounds interesting to you, please consider subscribing. We're getting very close to 100,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane, and we're actually gonna do a 100K subscriber giveaway, and the way for you to enter that giveaway is to actually go and sign up for my new newsletter, Vitals, which I'll have the link in the description. It's at my website, shaunanderson.com. Go sign up and you're automatically entered in the giveaway. Again, if you like the content that I make and you want to see more, subscribe to follow along. But with that out of the way, let's get on with the video. To understand the pay gap in medicine, you have to look at two different numbers, the unadjusted pay gap and the controlled pay gap. The unadjusted gap, that's 78 cents on the dollar figure, comes from a brand new 2026 report by Marit, which analyzed over 15,000 anonymized NPI verified healthcare salaries. But critics of that headline number rightfully point out that medicine isn't all black and white. Not all doctors work the same hours or the same specialty. So let's break down the first side of this debate. That is, how much of this gap is actually driven by individual lifestyle and career choices. According to Marit's data, lifestyle and career choices account for about 2/3 of the raw physician pay gap. So let's look at the three biggest variables. First up is specialty selection. This is the single largest factor, accounting for about 11 cents of the pay gap. Highly lucrative specialties like neurosurgery, orthopedic surgery, and cardiology routinely pay upwards of $600,000 a year. But less than 1 in 5 physicians in those fields are women. Women are highly represented in primary care and pediatrics, which unfortunately have historically earned lower salaries. Now, the second factor is schedule and on-call burden. Healthcare employers tend to pay a premium for grueling schedules. The Marit data shows that male physicians are 18.3% more likely to report a high on-call burden, meaning they are on call every 2 days or more. And the third factor is the sector. Female physicians are significantly more likely to work in public or nonprofit sectors, things like federally qualified health centers or government entities. In these sectors, compensation tends to be lower than private practice or corporate hospital settings. On top of all of this, men across medical professions are more likely to report receiving incentive compensation, and when they do, it tends to make up a larger share of their total take-home pay. So if you look at just this data, you might think, case closed, it's obviously just individual lifestyle choices or career choices, but that is only half the story. So here's where the pure choice argument completely falls apart. When the researchers at Marit ran a regression analysis, meaning they statistically controlled for years of experience, specialty, employer type, geography, scheduled hours, and on-call shifts, the gap didn't disappear. Even when a female physician works the same hours in the same specialty in the same geographic location with the same call schedule as a male colleague, she still earns 93 cents on the dollar. And this isn't just an issue for doctors. Marit actually tracked this across other vital clinical roles. When adjusted for all variables, nurse practitioners make 98 cents on the dollar, CRNAs make 95 cents on the dollar, and PAs sit at 96 cents on the dollar. So why does the remaining 7% gap exist? For that, we have to look at some of the peer-reviewed literature, and it shows something deeply structural. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine looked at 24.4 million primary care office visits. They found that female primary care doctors generated roughly 11% less revenue and conducted 11% fewer visits than men in the exact same practices. Why? Because female physicians actually spent almost 16% more time with each patient per visit. Our current healthcare system relies heavily on RVUs, or relative value units, which essentially rewards volume. The more patients you see, the more you get paid. If you sit with a complex patient to deeply manage their chronic conditions and actually listen to them, the system financially penalizes you. Because women statistically provide more time-intensive relational care, the system inherently devalues their labor. And if you think this is just about older generations or slow career progression, then think again. Another study found a massive $32,000 annual wage gap in family medicine just 3 years out of residency. At that stage in career, you can't blame this on seniority or experience. Even in countries with strict collective bargaining agreements like New Zealand, where senior doctors have standardized minimum pay levels, peer-reviewed data from BMJ Open still found an 11% to 12% hourly wage gap favoring men. This points squarely at institutional bias. So now that we've seen it's not just about lifestyle and career choices and that there are bigger systemic issues at play, what do we do about it? Fixing this isn't just an issue of basic fairness. It's a healthcare survival metric. We are currently facing unprecedented clinician shortages and extremely high rates of burnout. When highly qualified women are systemically underpaid, they burn out faster, they cut back their hours, or they leave the field entirely. So how do we fix it? Well, the literature actually points to a few systemic changes. One example is shifting to value-based care, essentially moving away from RVU models and more towards compensation models that reward patient outcomes. There's also time-based billing, which would allow physicians to actually bill based on the amount of time they're spending on clinical care. And lastly, radical pay transparency. For too long, medical compensation has been a black box hidden behind corporate subscriptions. This is actually why platforms like Marit are making their crowdsourced salary data sets and MGMA benchmarks completely free and anonymous for clinicians. Because when you know what your peers are making, you have the data you need to walk into a contract negotiation and advocate for your true value. And the nice thing about Marit is that they take it even one step further with their jobs feature. You just put in your specialty and your desired location, and you can view and compare real job postings from real employers in that area. And if you find one that sounds like a good fit, you can express interest directly through the app. This is a feature I'm very stoked about because, as you guys know, I'm going into my 3rd year of residency, which means in about a year from now, I'm gonna start looking at getting my very first job as an attending physician. So I'm gonna be using this feature quite a lot to get a good lay of the land. I wanna give a huge shout out to Marit for once again working with us on this video. You guys have seen me work with Marit tons of times already, and I absolutely love everything they're doing in terms of salary transparency. I think it's something that's not talked about enough. You guys hear me talk about it on my channel when I talk about resident pay transparency. So I absolutely love their motto and their entire mission. So if you're a clinician, I highly recommend you submit your own data. It's free and anonymous, and it really helps increase pay transparency. But I wanna hear from you guys in the comments, especially the clinicians watching. After seeing the data, what do you guys think about the gender pay gap in medicine? Have you experienced this yourself, either personally or at your own institutions? Or are there other factors involved that we didn't talk about that you think I missed? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm genuinely curious to hear your guys' thoughts. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel and enables me to continue making content like this. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.